The Cosby Show, 1984. Cast reveals what most fans never figured out. What if the most beloved family on American television was also hiding one of the darkest secrets in Hollywood history? For nearly a decade, The Cosby Show made the world believe in a perfect family, warm, funny, dignified, and safe. Millions of children grew up wanting Cliff Huxtable as their father, but behind those colorful sweaters and rehearsed laughs lived a reality so disturbing it would eventually shatter everything. Over 60 women, 4 decades of alleged abuse, a cultural icon turned convicted criminal, and a cast of actors left to navigate the wreckage of a show they had given their lives to. Before we dive in, if stories like this matter to you, subscribe to Remembered Lives channel and drop a comment below. Did you see this coming? Bill Cosby, Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable. He was once called America's dad. Every Thursday night, millions of families gathered around their television sets to watch Bill Cosby play the warm, witty, and endlessly charming Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable, an OBGYN with a house full of kids, a brilliant wife, and an endless supply of ugly but iconic sweaters. The Cosby Show, which ran from 1984 to 1992, was not just a ratings juggernaut. It was a cultural revolution. For the first time, a black, upper-middle-class family was portrayed on American primetime television with dignity, humor, and intelligence. The show consistently ranked as the #1 program in the United States for 5 straight seasons. But behind the laughter, something deeply disturbing was taking shape. Starting in 2014, the floodgates opened. Comedian Hannibal Buress publicly called out Cosby during a stand-up set, urging the audience to Google Bill Cosby rape. What followed was one of the most staggering falls from grace in Hollywood history. Over 60 women came forward with allegations of sexual assault spanning more than 4 decades, from 1965 all the way to 2008. The accusers included model Janice Dickinson, actress Beverly Johnson, and model Louisa Moritz, among dozens of others. Several women alleged that Cosby drugged them before the assaults. Shockingly, some claimed he instructed them to pretend to be drunk during auditions for The Cosby Show itself. The legal consequences were swift and severe. In 2018, Bill Cosby was convicted of aggravated indecent assault against Andrea Constand, a Temple University employee, and was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in state prison. He served nearly 3 years before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned the conviction in June 2021, citing a violation of his due process rights related to a prior immunity agreement. The cultural fallout was equally devastating. NBC canceled a planned Cosby comeback project. Netflix shelved a stand-up special. TV Land pulled reruns of The Cosby Show off the air entirely. Universities across the country revoked honorary degrees they had previously awarded him, over 50 in total. His carefully constructed legacy as a family-friendly icon crumbled in real time, leaving behind a complicated and painful question that millions of fans still wrestle with. How do you separate the art from the artist when the artist caused so much harm? Phylicia Rashad, Claire Huxtable. If Bill Cosby was the face of The Cosby Show, Phylicia Rashad was its soul. As Claire Huxtable, sharp-tongued attorney, devoted mother of 5, and the kind of woman who could silence an entire room with a single raised eyebrow, Rashad gave American television one of its most enduring female characters. She earned multiple Emmy nominations for the role and was celebrated as a symbol of Black professional womanhood at a time when such representation was rare and revolutionary. In 2010, Essence magazine honored her as the mother of the Black community. What most viewers never knew was the physical and personal toll the show quietly extracted from her. During the show's 3rd season, Rashad became pregnant with her daughter, Condola. The production team went to extraordinary lengths to conceal the pregnancy from the audience. Writers kept Claire perpetually at a conference or confined to bed. A specially engineered mattress was constructed so she could lie down during scenes without revealing her growing belly. Oversized jackets, kitchen counters, and strategically placed props became her wardrobe of concealment. The physical strain of maintaining these positions for extended filming sessions caused Rashad to develop a painful pinched nerve in her back, a condition she endured quietly and professionally throughout production. After the show ended, Rashad's career continued to flourish in remarkable ways. She captured Broadway's highest honor, the Tony Award, not once, but twice. First in 2004 for her lead role in the celebrated revival of A Raisin in the Sun, and again in 2022 for Skeleton Crew. She appeared in major films including Creed in 2015 alongside Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan, and The Beekeeper in 2024. In 2021, she was appointed Dean of Howard University's Chadwick A. Boseman College of Fine Arts, a prestigious position she held until stepping down in 2024. But it was a single social media post that threatened to undo decades of goodwill. When Bill Cosby was released from prison in June 2021, Rashad posted on Twitter, "Finally, a terrible wrong is being righted." The backlash was immediate and overwhelming. Students, faculty, and survivors' advocates called for her resignation from Howard University. She deleted the post within hours and issued a public apology, clarifying that her words were never intended to minimize the suffering of survivors, and that she firmly opposes all forms of sexual violence. The episode was a stark reminder that even the most beloved figures are not immune to the consequences of misplaced loyalty. Sabrina Le Beauf, Sandra Huxtable. She played the Huxtable family's golden child, Sandra, the Princeton-educated eldest daughter who seemed to have it all figured out. But the story behind how Sabrina Le Beauf landed that role is far more fascinating than anything Sandra ever did on screen. When producers were casting The Cosby Show in 1984, one of the women who walked through the door to audition for the role of Sandra was a 26-year-old Whitney Houston. Yes, that Whitney Houston, before Greatest Love of All, before I Will Always Love You, before she became one of the best-selling music artists in human history. Houston impressed the producers, but ultimately declined to sign the contract, unwilling to commit to a television schedule that would prevent her from pursuing her music career. It was one of the most consequential decisions in entertainment history. That decision opened the door for Sabrina Le Beauf. What makes her casting even more remarkable is a detail that was never publicized. Le Beauf was 26 years old at the time of her audition, making her only 10 years younger than Phylicia Rashad, who was cast as her television mother. The production team worked creatively to make the generational gap feel convincing on screen. Behind the scenes, Le Beauf also fought battles over her contract, insisting on clauses that would protect her ability to pursue a singing career, a negotiation that mirrored, in striking ways, the very situation that had caused Whitney Houston to walk away. After the show ended in 1992, Le Beauf made a deliberate and courageous choice. She walked away from Hollywood. Rather than chasing roles or clinging to fame, she pivoted entirely toward interior design, building a quieter, more grounded life, far from the entertainment industry's relentless glare. She did not disappear from performance entirely. She continued acting in theater, becoming a respected figure at the Shakespeare Theater Company in Washington, D.C., taking on demanding classical roles, including Catherine in The Taming of the Shrew. She also lent her voice to the animated series Fatherhood. In her personal life, Le Beauf was married to businessman and producer Michael Reynolds for over a decade before the two filed for divorce in 1997, describing it as a mutual and amicable decision. Her life after The Cosby Show is, in many ways, a study in what it looks like when someone chooses authenticity over celebrity. Lisa Bonet, Denise Huxtable. No cast member's story is more turbulent, more fascinating, or more prophetic than Lisa Bonet's. As Denise Huxtable, the free-spirited, effortlessly cool second daughter of the family, Bonet became a style icon and a generational symbol of individuality. But off-screen, her relationship with Bill Cosby was a slow-burning conflict that ultimately exploded in ways that reverberated for years. The tension began quietly. Reports circulated that Bonet frequently arrived late to set or missed filming days entirely. Rather than address the conflict directly, Cosby created a spin-off, A Different World, ostensibly to give Bonet a more mature creative platform. The real motivation, insiders suggested, was to physically remove her from the main show's set and reduce friction during production. Then came Angel Heart. In 1987, Bonet starred in the controversial Alan Parker horror film alongside Mickey Rourke. The film contained an explicit sexual scene that shocked the Cosby Show's family-oriented audience and deeply disturbed Cosby himself. He had initially stated he had no objections to her creative choices, but later admitted publicly that he found the film troubling, particularly its racial undertones. Bonet also posed nude for interview and Rolling Stone magazines to promote the film, which Cosby felt was inappropriate given the show's young audience demographic. The relationship reached its breaking point in early 1988 when Bonet became pregnant with musician Lenny Kravitz's daughter, Zoe Kravitz, now a celebrated actress in her own right. For the producers of A Different World, a pregnant college freshman was simply not workable. Cosby, who held strong views about the Huxtable image, had Bonet fired from the spin-off. He later brought her back to the main show for its 5th season, where writers disguised her pregnancy with oversized clothing before conveniently sending Denise off to Zimbabwe. She was ultimately fired again at the end of season 7. In 2018, Bonet made a statement that sent shockwaves through Hollywood. She said she had always felt a sinister energy surrounding Cosby, even years before any public allegations emerged. It was a chilling confirmation that behind the sweaters and the warmth, something deeply wrong had been present all along. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, Theo Huxtable. Theodore Aloysius Huxtable was never supposed to be a symbol. He was just a kid who struggled in school, talked back to his dad, and desperately wanted to be cool. But in the hands of Malcolm-Jamal Warner, Theo became something far more meaningful. A mirror through which thousands of real American children finally saw themselves reflected on primetime television. What viewers never knew was that Theo's academic struggles were not simply a comedic device. They were rooted in a deeply personal reality. Bill Cosby's own son, Ennis Cosby, had been diagnosed with dyslexia. Cosby deliberately wove this experience into the fabric of Theo's character, using the show as a platform to normalize and humanize learning differences at a time when dyslexia was widely misunderstood and stigmatized. Malcolm-Jamal Warner has spoken publicly about fans who told him that watching Theo's storyline helped them finally understand why they struggled in school and gave them the courage to seek diagnosis and support. Warner was just 14 years old when the show premiered and received an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series in 1986. Behind the scenes, however, the set was not always harmonious. Warner and Carl Anthony Payne II, who played Theo's best friend, Cockroach, maintained a genuine rivalry for years. The root cause? Payne had originally auditioned for the role of Theo himself. He did not get it. Warner did. That unresolved tension lingered throughout much of the show's run, though both men have since described reaching a more mature understanding as they grew older. When Cosby's allegations became public, Warner found himself in an extraordinarily difficult position. Cosby had been a mentor to him since adolescence. Warner stated that he could not defend Cosby's actions, but also could not fully abandon the man who had shaped so much of his early life. He called the situation complex, layered, and something most people will never fully understand. He also revealed that the financial loss from the show being pulled from syndication did not derail him personally, because he had deliberately structured his life and finances to not depend on Theo Huxtable for survival. Tempestt Bledsoe, Vanessa Huxtable. She played the middle child, perpetually overlooked, perpetually striving, perpetually a little too nosy for her own good. Vanessa Huxtable was the relatable one, the kid who snuck out to a concert in Baltimore, who wore makeup before her parents allowed it, who spent hours on the phone and got her heart broken in ways that felt embarrassingly real. Tempestt Bledsoe brought Vanessa to life with a naturalness that made her feel like someone you actually knew. But Tempestt Bledsoe's real-life story contains chapters that would surprise even her most devoted fans. Start with the academic achievement that almost no one in Hollywood talks about. Bledsoe earned a bachelor's degree in finance from New York University's Stern School of Business, one of the most prestigious and competitive business programs in the United States. This was not a ceremonial degree or a part-time pursuit. She studied seriously, graduated legitimately, and put that education to direct use in one of the most quietly remarkable stories to emerge from the entire Cosby Show universe. Her long-term partner, actor Darrell M. Bell, best known for playing Ron Johnson Jr. on A Different World, suffered a catastrophic financial loss at the age of 24 when his family's fortune collapsed. Bledsoe, drawing on her finance background, stepped in and helped him systematically rebuild his financial foundation. In an industry that celebrates superficiality, that is a genuinely extraordinary act of partnership and practical intelligence. Bledsoe and Bell have been together since 1993, having first met when she guest starred on A Different World in 1989. They have been happily unmarried for over 3 decades, a conscious, considered choice that both have defended openly. When asked what sustains a relationship of that length and depth, Bledsoe has consistently pointed to compatibility, humor, and a refusal to let external pressure define their partnership. She has also been refreshingly transparent about health and body image, competing on VH1's Celebrity Fit Club and losing 19 pounds during the process, not through shortcuts, but through sustained commitment to personal wellness. Keshia Knight Pulliam, Rudy Huxtable. She was 4 years old when the cameras first found her. Rudy Huxtable, gap-toothed, wide-eyed, irresistibly adorable, became the emotional heartbeat of The Cosby Show almost instantly. Keshia Knight Pulliam was not simply a child actor playing a part. She was a genuine performer who had been working professionally since she was 9 months old, appearing in commercials and holding a recurring role on Sesame Street long before Rudy Huxtable existed. Her talent was recognized at the highest level with staggering speed. At just 6 years old, Pulliam received a Primetime Emmy Award nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, making her the youngest actor ever nominated in that category at the time. It remains one of the most extraordinary achievements in the history of American television. As she grew older, the show's producers made a decision that quietly devastated her. They introduced Olivia Kendall, played by a young Raven-Symoné, as a newer, younger child figure for the family. The implicit message was not lost on Pulliam, who has spoken candidly about the painful experience of being a 10-year-old who felt she was being replaced because her cuteness was fading. "I have to let audiences know that now I am a woman," she famously said, an unexpectedly mature declaration from a preteen navigating the brutal mathematics of child stardom. After the show ended, Pulliam made a choice that set her apart from many former child stars. She enrolled at Spelman College in Atlanta, majoring in sociology and committing fully to her education before resuming her acting career. She returned to screens in films like Beauty Shop and Tyler Perry's House of Pain, for which she won an NAACP Image Award. Her decision to publicly support Bill Cosby during his 2017 trial, attending proceedings and standing by her former mentor, generated intense controversy. She was careful to explain that she could only speak to her own personal experience with him, which had been one of mentorship and protection, and that she would respect whatever verdict the jury delivered. Jeffrey Owens, Elvin Thibodeau. He married into the Huxtable family on screen and spent years as part of one of television's most beloved ensembles. As Elvin Thibodeau, Sandra's husband, the lovable work in progress who arrived with outdated views on gender roles and slowly evolved under Claire Huxtable's withering influence, Jeffrey Owens became a fan favorite in a supporting role that demanded genuine comedic and dramatic range. What happened to him after The Cosby Show ended is one of the most poignant and ultimately inspiring stories to emerge from the entire cast. Like many supporting actors on long-running shows, Owens had come to rely on the steady income provided by syndication royalty checks. Every time The Cosby Show aired in reruns, which, for decades, was constantly, Owens received a payment. It was not a fortune, but it was consistent. It was enough. When Bill Cosby's scandal caused TV Land and other networks to pull the show from rotation entirely in 2018, those checks stopped. Immediately. Completely. Without warning. To support himself and his family, Owens took a job at a Trader Joe's grocery store in Edgewater, New Jersey. In September 2018, a shopper photographed him stocking shelves and submitted the image to media outlets with the framing of "a fallen star reduced to menial labor." The story went viral almost instantly, but not in the way the original tipster had hoped. Rather than humiliation, Owens received an overwhelming wave of support. Celebrities, fans, and industry colleagues rallied behind him. Director Tyler Perry was among the most prominent voices, publicly offering Owens work and condemning the culture of job shaming. Owens himself addressed the media with extraordinary dignity, stating that every form of work has value and that he had never been ashamed of honest labor. He subsequently left Trader Joe's, not in disgrace, but because the volume of acting offers that flooded in made returning to set the more practical choice. He has since appeared in NCIS New Orleans and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Eden Tour. Not every story from The Cosby Show belongs to a series regular. Some of the most disturbing accounts come from the edges of the production, from women who passed through briefly, whose names never appeared on promotional posters, and who left carrying experiences they were not believed when they tried to report them. Eden Tur was one of those women. She appeared on The Cosby Show in 1990 in a guest role as a police officer. A small part, a few lines, a single episode. What she has described experiencing during that appearance is, by any measure, an act of serious misconduct and violation. According to Tur, she was pulled off the set during active taping and brought to Bill Cosby's private dressing room where he groped her without consent. She did not remain silent. She reported what had happened to show staffers, the people whose professional responsibility it was to maintain a safe working environment for every person on that production, regardless of the size of their role. They ignored her. Her account reflects a pattern that emerged consistently across dozens of testimonies from women who alleged misconduct by Cosby during the show's production years. The infrastructure of silence, the staffers who looked away, the producers who prioritized the show's momentum over the safety of its participants, the culture that treated complaints from guest actors as negligible, was as much a part of the story as the individual acts themselves. Tur's testimony is a reminder that the harm caused by powerful men in entertainment does not fall only on those with famous names or prominent billing. It falls disproportionately on those with the least power, the least platform, and the fewest people willing to listen. Her willingness to speak publicly, decades after the fact, with no guarantee of being believed, represents an act of considerable courage. Lily Bernard. If Eden Tur's story illustrates the institutional failure to protect women on the margins of power, Lily Bernard's account goes further, into territory that is darker, more sustained, and deeply personal. Bernard appeared on The Cosby Show as a guest star, and by her own account, Bill Cosby took a specific interest in her career. He positioned himself as her mentor, offering professional guidance, industry connections, and the kind of access that a young actress trying to establish herself in Hollywood could not easily refuse or walk away from. It was a relationship built on an extreme imbalance of power, and Bernard has alleged that Cosby exploited that imbalance in the most violating way possible. She claims that Cosby drugged and sexually assaulted her on multiple occasions, using the mentorship as both cover and leverage. Her allegations place the abuse within the broader pattern that dozens of other women described, a calculated methodology involving substances, isolation, and the exploitation of professional dependency. Bernard became one of the most publicly vocal accusers in the entire case. She attended legal proceedings, spoke to media, and advocated consistently for accountability. Her willingness to remain visible and persistent in the face of skepticism, public scrutiny, and the enormous social capital that Cosby's defenders continued to wield was, by any measure, an act of extraordinary resilience. She has also spoken about the psychological aftermath, the way trauma reshapes identity, disrupts career trajectories, and follows survivors long after the physical events have ended. For Bernard, the damage was not confined to a single incident or a single year. It was woven into the fabric of a period of her life that should have been defined by creative growth and professional possibility. Her story, like Tours, like the stories of more than 60 other women, is ultimately about what happens when institutions protect the powerful at the direct expense of the vulnerable. And it is a story that The Cosby Show's warm lighting and cheerful theme music could never fully conceal. The Cosby Show gave America something rare: a black family portrayed with brilliance, dignity, and joy. That legacy is real. The harm is also real. And here's the question that no one can fully answer. Can a piece of art be separated from the person who created it when that person caused irreversible damage to real human lives? Some say yes. Some say the show belonged to the cast, the writers, the audience, not to one man's crimes. Others say silence is complicity. Where do you stand? Leave your honest opinion in the comments. This conversation deserves to be heard. And if this video made you think, share it with someone who remembers the show. Remembered Lives channel exists for exactly these stories, the ones history almost forgot.